People always ask me how I choose my teams after I get matched with an opponent. When I read their team of 6, how do I decide which 3 to bring to that first round? And then what do I change in between matches after I've seen what they're going to bring? And what do I do when my teams don't work out? How do I survive that matchup? I've been working on this video for quite a while. You'll notice that there hasn't been a video last week, and it's because I was trying to make this one. And it's been a little bit more complicated than I expected it to be because I'm trying to coach you through some things that you just kind of have to know. And it's not exactly something I can put into words as well as I thought I could. But I'm going to try and coach you through what I think will get you to where you need to be. I've identified 4 components that I think are going to get you to a step where you can actually make autonomous decisions in the middle of a match and feel confident about those decisions. So let's quickly go through those. My first component is to learn Pokemon types and their type advantages. Nothing is more crucial. You stare at an opponent's team fruitlessly if you don't know what they are. If you're joining Pokemon late, I get that this can be really hard. You need to take the time, put in the hours, memorize, find the charts that you need, and if you can't do this, you will never succeed. That's why this is step 1. If you can't look at a Pokemon and identify a weakness, you're going to always struggle. To get you up to speed, there's a couple of tips I have. For example, there's a Game Press type chart that's interactive. So you can put in a type or you can put in dual types, and it'll tell you the weaknesses and the resistances for that dual type or that single type. Also, they have plenty of infographics about these types and their weaknesses and their resistances that you can use to help you memorize. Get some flashcards, pick those up, put them down, start going through those. That's a quick way to do it. I know a lot of people succeed that way. If you need another way, just use those meta simplified guides that pop up every once in a while so you know what beats what, and then you can evaluate your team and your opponent's team using that. So, for example, if you see a Spiritomb, you know that you probably don't want to bring a fighter, you're going to want to bring a dark type like an Umbreon. That would be a way to do it without knowing the type advantages. The second component that I've identified is knowing roles. These roles are closers, openers, attackers, and defenders. Some people call defenders bodyguards, and some people call attackers other things. There's a lot of different terms, but as long as you know what the main roles are, you'll be able to succeed and win. This also requires knowledge of fast and charge move pools for each Pokemon and what the typical movesets people will bring for the Pokemon. But nothing beats the memorization when it comes down to that. If you need a quick way for now, you can use PvPoke's ranking website for each role. Memorize the important ones on the top of each, like Nightmare Cup, for example, or you can go to the regionals if you're in regionals and trying to figure out how you're going to win. Hopefully, you didn't make it to regionals by guessing. I'm going to assume that you have some sort of skill that may put you in a position where you got an invite. But if you need a quick fix, that's a quick way to do it. My next tip is to use pvpoke.com again for the building a team, knowing what your team's weaknesses are, and help you evaluate which one you should swap out to make ideal teams of 3. So when you walk into a match, if you are not quite ready, but you want a solid team that can face up against the majority of the Pokemon you're likely to face, PvPoke's going to do that for you. The fourth step that I've identified is a little bit harder to nail down, but I call it intuition. It comes only from practicing with a Pokemon in your team and fighting against a variety of opponents. And learning how to recognize what works well with one another and what doesn't. So, like when I see an opponent is running a pair of Pokemon that are very fine-tuned to each other, like a Drapion and a Toxicroak in Nightmare Cup, I expect to see those together in a team of 3, or I wouldn't expect to see either of them. They cover each other pretty well, they have very strong moves, they're going to succeed if they're together. Again, I don't really know how to coach you to do this, it just comes down to paying attention to what synergizes well, and learn to recognize that on your opponent's teams. If you know what their leads are from step 3, then you'll know what's probably going to follow it. This step here, intuition, is the most profitable one for you in a match, but it's also the hardest to get to. One of the bonuses that you're going to have when you have the intuition from the experience and your knowledge is that you're going to be able to recognize and prepare for what your opponent will do, so you can switch lock an opponent into a bad matchup. However, if your opponent is equally as skilled with this as you are, they can actually bait you into using a counter just to switch lock you. For example, if your opponent has 3 dark types, that's going to bait your fighting type Pokemon, and they're going to expect you maybe to lead with that. For example, like a Toxicroak would be a solid lead against a team with 3 dark types. They could then lead with a psychic type and force you to switch, which would then lock you into a bad matchup. And then finally, with all these steps combined, it'll actually let you recover from a bad matchup in the middle of a match, because you'll know how to build your team of 3 such that you can switch into something, afford to lose that, and then come back. So, like, in this matchup, I started with a Toxicroak against a Hypno, and that Hypno is going to eat through my Toxicroak extremely fast, so I immediately switch out to the Claydol. Knowing that his Hypno was in the team, I wasn't expecting him to bring anything that I was going to be running the Claydol for. So I take this, I don't shield the Crunch because I have the Gyro Ball ready. I'm going to let it fly, and we're just trying to push through this match and turn it around. Against this Drapion, I'm pretty sure that I can come in with another Pokemon and be fine. The Toxicroak should get through it. Should shield here just while I have the advantage, make up some lost time. Knock out that Drapion really fast. He brings that Hypno in again. I need to switch out. I failed a couple times. So I took a lot more damage than I needed to, but I'm going to get to the Shadow Ball here. And that wipes that Toxicroak out. He was expecting a Ominous Wind, so a little bit of shield baiting there also helped turn that around. He hits me with the Shadow Ball. I'm going to get to this Ominous Wind. I was hoping that I would get a buff here, but I didn't. He's holding on for every last shred of health that he can, thinking that he's going to get to this Toxicroak that I've got in the back, but I have the Mud Bomb ready. And that wipes out and secures the match for me. So that's how I was able to turn it around, by sacrificing something on my team that I didn't think that I needed anymore, and manage my energy and manage my shields. So this battle that I'm about to show you is from my Nightmare Cup from Wednesday earlier this week. That I took the victory in. This match was the hardest for me to read, so I want to walk you through my thought processes to see how I put everything together. So, for example, Cheesehead here has a Poliwrath, and I know that it's Legacy just from playing him before, so that's going to be a problem. His Alolan Raticate is going to be a solid Dark type. The Hypno has Legacy moves, and it's a Confusion user. His Drapion is going to be solid for just about everything. It's going to be a spammy Infestation user. His Murkrow is a little bit of a pick. It's going to take out my fighting types. It's going to at least trade with them for the most part. And then there's a Alolan Raichu, which has a ton of threat. So I'm looking at my team, and I'm expecting his leads to be something along the lines of a Poliwrath or an Alolan Raichu. So I could either bring my Claydol or I could bring my Spiritomb. It's going to be able to handle probably both of them, as long as I got the shields right. And then I'm following it through. He has 3 Dark types, so I need to bring my Toxicroak. And I'm honestly expecting him to bring the Alolan Raticate, which my Toxicroak can deal with very well. I'm not going to bring my Heracross as my first thought because of his Murkrow. But then I'm like, no, that Murkrow's probably not going to come out. He's probably going to be bringing, if he's got a Poliwrath and an Alolan Raticate, he's probably going to be bringing his Hypno. His Legacy, it's very strong. So I think that I can actually pull off a Heracross in this, and that I won't be threatened by the Murkrow for the double weakness on the Heracross. And then on my final glance through, I decide that even though he has 3 Dark types, I think I'm going to leave my Toxicroak out because I feel like he's going to bring something that actually will take out both of my fighting types if I bring them. So I decide actually I'm going to go with my Umbreon. It should win the matchup against those if I play my cards right. And I'm expecting him again to be looking at my team, seeing 2 fighting types and bringing both of his psychic types. So I decided to switch it up and add an Umbreon into the middle of my team, for my final team being Spiritomb, Umbreon, and Heracross. So we're going into the match. I have my team set up, as you can see. I'm anxiously awaiting this because if I predicted wrong, I'm going to completely lose. So I throw out my Spiritomb, and his lead is a Poliwrath. I predicted that correctly. And this Mudshot doesn't do as much damage as I expected it to, which puts me in a good position. I'm going to get to the Ominous Wind right when he gets to what I expect to be a Power-Up Punch, and I don't shield, but it's actually a nice punch. Just shows how much damage how much energy that Mudshot does. And now I'm going to fake that I had a Shadow Ball, and he didn't shield. So I think that he expected it, honestly, to be the Ominous Wind. Which puts me in a bad position, but I could have ripped through that with a Shadow Ball. He's bringing in something else. I'm going to try and pop off the Shadow Ball just in case he doesn't shield it. It's that Murkrow. I'm worried about that because I need to get rid of it. The Heracross is doubly weak to flying type moves. So I figure I can eat through the Murkrow with my Umbreon. I have enough damage output and life that I can actually pretty much farm it. So whatever he brings in here, I have a Dark Pulse ready for. It's Poliwrath. As long as he doesn't get to Power Punch before I get through this energy, I'll be fine. So I get to that second Dark Pulse because I farmed. And he uses both shields. I'm in a pretty good advantage now. So he can do whatever he wants to. I'm not going to shield this Umbreon. I did exactly what I needed it to do. Now I'm going to bring in the Spiritomb and hope to God that I can hold off the Poliwrath. I use the shield here. The Ice Punch would have done quite a bit of damage, as you saw before. We're going to go for the Ominous Wind, hope for the boost. That will definitely guarantee us a win. No boost, but he brings out a Hypno, and so now I'm really worried. I have to get to that Shadow Ball before I die. I managed to do so, and I can pull it off. The Heracross would have been okay, but it probably wouldn't have lasted through a charge move. So I'm looking at his team again. I'm expecting him to bring that Poliwrath as a lead again. But knowing that he's actually willing to use that Murkrow makes me hesitant to bring any fighting types. So my next team, I'm running a Claydol, a Drapion, and a Spiritomb. Those are probably going to have some great matchups against whatever he manages to bring, and I'm hoping that it's going to net me that second win. So I throw out my Claydol here, and he throws out a Drapion, which is really not good for me. He's an immunity tier class to my Confusion. I know that my Earthquake is super effective against him and will completely wipe him out, but I don't know if he actually knows that I have that or not. I could be faking a Gyro Ball here, and I probably should have. We have a little bit of lag, but he ends up shielding this Earthquake here, which means that I should have probably switched out. I don't know if it actually would have helped, and I don't know if it actually would have been a good idea. So I'm just going to stick it out in the end. Hope that I can get to another Gyro Ball. I keep mispronouncing that. Gyro Ball. He feints me before I get to another Gyro Ball. I shouldn't have shielded in the first place. I wasted a shield. It could cost me the match. Hoping that the Drapion versus Drapion mirror match is going to get me out of this hole. Get 2 free attacks there, 2 free energies. And then he brings out Eradicate. My Infestation is super effective against him. Aqua Tail is doing good neutral damage, and I can spam it out. I had 2 ready because I farmed up that energy on the last Drapion. So we're at equal health at least. I'm going to pop a shield here because I think that I can get to another Aqua Tail. And I do. But he's got a shield advantage. Still, that one shield is making me nervous because whatever he has back, the Poliwrath, I tried to get to that Aqua Tail. It wasn't going to help me in the end anyway because he has a Power-Up Punch already ready. With the shield, he's going to beat my Spiritomb very easily. He gets the Ice Punch. It does quite a bit of damage. I'm going for the Ominous Wind, hoping to get the boost. He blocks. I do get the boost, but it's not enough to save me from this next Ice Punch. And I lost the match. Before I go into this last match, I know that my Spiritomb and my Umbreon did me very good. They could deal with most of the things that he's bringing, but I'm bringing that Heracross in this final match. He didn't bring the Murkrow in that second battle, and I'm counting on him not bringing it again. The Heracross can deal with Drapion, it can deal with his Hypno, and it can deal with the Mudshot Poliwrath. So I throw out Spiritomb in the final match against a Drapion. This is a pretty neutral matchup for me, but I'm pretty sure I can win with a little bit of skill and shield baiting. Going for the Shadow Ball fake, I'm going to shield this Aqua Tail mysteriously. I really shouldn't have done that. I should have let that first one go. But anyway, I shielded, I get the Ominous Wind off. I have enough energy left over that I can probably get to 1. I don't shield this Aqua Tail, which puts me at a little under half health. Get to another Ominous Wind, hoping for a boost here. He blocks. I don't get the boost. I'm not going to shield this. If I go down, I go down. I know I'm going to get to this Ominous Wind. Not very effective. I get that boost. It doesn't do anything, but I know that I can bring in this Umbreon here. He's going to pop something. It doesn't matter. It's not going to do a ton of damage. Umbreon's just so tanky. I'm going to farm him for a little bit of energy. And he brings in a Poliwrath. I'm going to go for the Last Resort. If I can burn a shield, that'd be great. Swap immediately to a Heracross so I don't take this Power-Up Punch damage. I resist that. So I should win this matchup pretty easily. Like I was predicting, I wanted the Heracross in for everything but the Murkrow. I'm going to farm him for more energy, and we're going to see what he brings in last. It's Raichu. I have Earthquake ready. Perfect. He does have the shield. I'm obviously expecting him to shield. I'm hoping that I can get to a Mega Horn before, but he gets to that Wild Charge. But my Umbreon should take care of it. I'm going to get to a Dark Pulse. Regardless of whether he gets to a Wild Charge or a Thunder Punch here, I'm going to tank it, and I get to the Dark Pulse and finish it off for the win. So my predictions there actually worked out. I didn't see him bringing the Murkrow, and he didn't. So this is basically it. I wish that there was a quicker tip or a quicker strategy to get you to the level that you need to be at or that you want to be at, but there's not. The best players didn't learn how to compete and to recognize opponents' teams with just a simple trick. It's all experience and knowledge. It's not too late to learn. And I hope that you continue to practice, and I'll try and keep pumping out videos as best as I can. I just hope that they won't take as long to get to as this one would. But I wanted to make a solid video for you that had plenty of examples and visual aids and tools so that you can actually succeed. Hopefully you learned something. If you didn't, please leave a comment, and I'll try to fill in the gaps where I can. It was a lot to cover. Thank Thanks for watching. I'm Clive Fox. Catch you in the next one.